Hi guys, here is second video devlog for Chiccoo and life. There was a lot of progress last week. I can't show you most of it just to avoid spoilers, but there are a few things that I can share. I updated the character graphics for enemy characters. The human enemy characters were drawn in minimal round shapes before. It was all vector art. The vector art was minimal and it did a great job as a placeholder sprites for a while. At first, I was planning to continue using it in the final version too, but along the way, I have done many painting experiments with Krita and I developed a consistent technique to create level assets in Krita, like the foliage, the rocks, the wooden planks, the houses, etc. The technique is pretty simple, but it improves the final result a lot. So last week I thought that I will apply the same technique on the characters, the human characters too. I will redraw the character limbs in Krita using this technique. The painting technique is nothing fancy, but I think the results look much better, essentially because the painted objects show some depth. Most of the objects are painted with a single flat color, which I choose from a well-defined palette. After filling the entire shape of the object with that single flat color, then I add two more layers, one for darkness and another one for highlights. The darkness is the most important layer, which is drawn with pure black color, but varying opacity, that can be controlled by the pressure of the pen. I use it to draw outlines and draw shadows on the object, to distinguish between parts that are well lit versus the parts that are poorly lit. This itself gives the impression of depth. In the highlight layer, I paint with pure white color with very low opacity. Unlike the darkness, there are only few places where the highlights need to be drawn. And then again, I draw them to be very subtle. I usually smudge them after I have drawn them. The effect the highlights achieve is very subtle and they are almost invisible, but they also add depth to the object. Then at the end I add a shadow layer, which is just a dark background, little bigger than the object's shape itself. I draw this in solid black color and then adjust the opacity of that entire layer to get sufficiently prominent backdrop. I also use a blur filter on this layer sometimes. I have found that just these three things give a very deep look to the painted objects, especially the background shadow. Without it, the objects tend to get lost in the crowd of other objects. I should point out that this shadow layer is not a real shadow. It's not naturally correct, in fact. This layer exists irrespective of the lighting conditions of the scene. Its sole job is to provide a backdrop against which the object is clearly visible. I think it serves the same function as ambient occlusion does in rendering 3D objects, but I won't go into much detail on it today. Maybe I will do another video for that. So that's it for now. You can continue watching this video and stay tuned for future updates. Thanks.